Good afternoon, Facebook friends and YouTube followers. This is Rich again, back for your second video blog of the day for Sunday, October 19th, 2014, around 5:33 p.m. in Boston, Massachusetts. A mix of sun and clouds today, and much cooler. Only reached about 55 here today, and it feels more like fall. A lot of breezy, a lot of chilly, a lot of crisp air. Gonna get used to this weather, my friends. Tomorrow's supposed to be another mix of sun and clouds. Could be the pick of the week. And then beginning Tuesday through Friday, on and off rain showers with possibly a major nor'easter coming Thursday and Friday. But that nor'easter is going to be lots of rain. Thank God, because if it was a month or two later, we would talk about heavy-duty snowstorm. But let's not talk about snowstorms right now. Some news to report. The Boston Celtics beat the Brooklyn Nets by the score of 95-90 in a 44-minute preseason game in Brooklyn, and it was a good game. I didn't notice the difference of them playing 1 minute less, but 44 minutes is not going to be the way to go. I think they're going to keep it at 48 minutes, the NBA, for games being played 12-minute quarters. That was just an experiment, but I don't know if that experiment will work or not. And that's about it on that. And my next subject is about Borders bookstores. Borders bookstores was one of the most popular bookstores around in the United States in the 90s and 2000s. It was the second most largest bookstore chain behind Barnes & Noble in the United States. It was real popular, but it's now out of business. Borders Bookstore was founded in 1971 in Ann Arbor, Michigan by Tom and Louis Border. They were the Border brothers. The first Borders store was a used bookstore, and it was kind of popular for the first few years. Then in 1975 they bought out a book chain called Wars, which was around in 80 years in the Michigan area, and they stocked it with textbooks and used books, and then they made it into popular books, current books, and it got popular in Michigan and stuff. And they expanded around Michigan and other states. And by 1992, Borders was bought by Kmart. Kmart also owned Walden Books and Botanos at that time as well. But this is when Kmart was struggling, because they were this was the first time they filed for bankruptcy, but they got out of it. But they actually spun off Borders, Walden Books, and Botanos to become their own company, which was named Borders Groups, and that's when they took off, and it went all over the country. Borders actually tried to have a toy store that opened up in malls, which was kind of those pop-up stores like kiosks, called All Wound Up, but that wasn't very successful. And Borders sold books, but eventually it sold like CDs and videos and eventually DVDs and stuff like that, and it started to expand overseas in the 90s. First went into the United Kingdom, then to Ireland, Australia, New Zealand, Singapore, and others. And the major books and the major Borders that were open in the Boston area was Downtown Crossing. That was their flagship store in Downtown Crossing on the corner of School Street and Washington Street. Also, there was another location in Boylston Street, right near Copley Square. There was another one in Cambridge Side Galleria, and another one I recall in Burlington in the Wayside Commons. And Borders was very popular. I loved going to Borders, and they had great book selection there, good DVD selection and video selection, and tons of magazines. Some of these magazines there were rare. You wouldn't find them in any store except the Borders, and they had newspapers from across the country as well and around the world. And Borders just continue to get more popular. They had a working agreement with Amazon.com, and Amazon and Borders.com was linked together for a while, and that helped have a lot of profit for Borders. And also the peak of Borders bookstores was in 2003, when they had close to 1,250 stores of Borders, Botanos, and Walden Books. Around 2003 was their peak. And in 2004, Borders had an agreement with Seattle's Best Coffee, which was a subsidiary of Starbucks Coffee, and Seattle's Best Coffee was sold at all of the bookstores for Borders. And Borders continued to have good profits. 2006, they introduced a loyalty card, which was the Borders book, like Borders Rewards, and was free of charge. And for every every dollar you spent, you got 5% back. If you reach $50, you got a 10% like shopping day. And they used this for a while, and I'd love to buy books and DVDs and magazines, and it would add up a lot, and then you would have a lot left over. And they did this for about a year until they changed it, which they got rid of like the 5% back, and then it was all like 10% off for Borders and stuff for every book you can get, and it was free of charge. And Borders continued, but they had a decline was around 2007, middle of 2007, when Amazon.com stopped stopped their working agreement with Borders. And also the ebooks were getting real popular, and many people were switching to e-readers, plus Barnes & Noble and also other places were selling more books than Borders, Walmart, and some department stores. And it was crushing blow. And Borders tried to get into the e-books game with an e-reader and stuff, their own e-reader, like 2009, but that was too late. Also, this company was up for sale, but there were a few prospective buyers, but they didn't buy it, or one was going to buy it, but at the last minute, it was rejected. In February 2011, Borders filed for Chapter 11, and they were closing stores like crazy and stuff, going down and down. And in summer of 2011, they just threw in the towel, giving up. And then they liquidated all their stores. And by the end of September 2011, Borders ceased to exist. It was a very sad day when Borders closed down, because it was an alternative to Barnes & Noble. It was a good bookstore. And for many years they were up to par with Barnes & Noble. The working relationship with Amazon.com helped them a lot, but once Amazon.com and Borders split apart, then that was the decline of Borders and stuff. A lot of people don't like having only one major book chain anymore, because that doesn't help with lesser books get distributed. Plus, there's not too many places where authors are going to sign all Barnes and Noble and stuff, and other things, and it's just sad to see that business go down. If they still continued a working relationship with Amazon.com, and if they got into the e-book business a little faster, they probably could be still in business today, but maybe with fewer stores and that stuff. And I like the Borders bookstore, especially Downtown Crossing. That was an amazing store. A mega store, seems like that. And now that Borders in Downtown Crossing is now a Walgreens. I know the one at the Cambridge Side Galleria is now TJ Maxx, and the one at Wayside Common Burlington is now 2 restaurants. And that's about it on that. I'll be back later for my third and final video blog of the night, which will be about legendary sports announcer, the late Lindsey Nelson. See you later, Facebook friends and YouTube followers. Bye now.